Emails reveal how Hunter Biden tried to cash in big on behalf of family with Chinese firm. Hunter Biden pursued lucrative deals involving China's largest private energy company, including one that he said would be interesting for me and my family, emails obtained by the Post show. One email sent to Biden on May 13, 2017, with the subject line, expectations, included details of remuneration packages for 6 people involved in an unspecified business venture. Biden was identified as chair, vice chair, depending on agreement with CEFC, an apparent reference to the former Shanghai-based conglomerate CEFC China Energy Co. His pay was pegged at $850, and the email also noted that Hunter has some office expectations he will elaborate. In addition, the email outlined a provisional agreement under which 80% of the equity, or shares in the new company, would be split equally among 4 people whose initials correspond to the sender and 3 recipients, with H apparently referring to Biden. The deal also listed 10 Jim and 10 held by H for the big guy. Neither Jim nor the big guy was identified further. The email's author, James Gillier of the international consulting firm J2CR, also noted, "I am happy to raise any detail with Zang if there is shortfalls." Hunter Biden. Zang is an apparent reference to Zang Jian Jun, the former executive director of CEFC China. The email is contained in a trove of data that the owner of a computer repair shop in Delaware said was recovered from a MacBook Pro laptop that was dropped off in April 2019 and never retrieved. The computer was seized by the FBI, and a copy of its contents made by the shop owner shared with the Post this week by former Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Another email, sent by Biden as part of an August 2, 2017, chain, involved a deal he struck with the since-vanished chairman of CEFC, Yi Jianming, for half ownership of a holding company that was expected to provide Biden with more than $10 million a year. Yi, who had ties to the Chinese military and intelligence service, hasn't been seen since being taken into custody by Chinese authorities in early 2018, and CEFC went bankrupt earlier this year, according to reports. Biden wrote that Yi had sweetened the terms of an earlier, 3-year consulting contract with CEFC that was to pay him $10 million annually, for introductions alone. The chairman changed that deal after we meet T in Miami to a much more lasting and lucrative arrangement to create a holding company 50% SIC, owned by ME and 50% owned by him, Biden wrote. Consulting fees is one piece of our income stream, but the reason this proposal by the chairman was so much more interesting to me and my family is that we would also be partners in SIC, the equity and profits of the JV's joint ventures investments. A photo dated August 1, 2017, shows a handwritten flowchart of the ownership of Hudson West, split 50-50 between 2 entities ultimately controlled by Hunter Biden and someone identified as chairman. According to a report on Biden's overseas business dealings released last month by Senator Ron Johnson, R. Wis, and Senator Chuck Grassley, R. Iowa, a company called Hudson West 3 opened a line of credit in September 2017. Credit cards issued against the account were used by Hunter, his uncle James Biden and James's wife, Sarah Biden, to purchase more than $100,000 worth of extravagant items, including airline tickets and multiple items at Apple Inc. stores, pharmacies, hotels and restaurants, the report said. The company has since been dissolved, and Hunter Biden's law firm, Owasco PC, was one of 2 owners, according to the report. Biden's email was sent to Gong Guindong, whom the Wall Street Journal in October 2018 tied to the purchase by Yi-linked companies of 2 luxury Manhattan apartments that cost a total on $83 million. Dong, who owns a sprawling mansion in Great Neck, LI, has been identified in reports as CFO of the CamFei Group, an investment firm based in Hong Kong. The documents obtained by the Post also include an attorney engagement letter, executed in September 2017 in which one of Yi's top lieutenants, former Hong Kong government official Kai-Ping Patrick Ho, agreed to pay Biden a $1 million retainer for counsel to matters related to U.S. law and advice pertaining to the hiring and legal analysis of any U.S. law firm or lawyer. In December 2018, a Manhattan federal jury convicted Ho in 2 schemes to pay $3 million in bribes to high-ranking government officials in Africa for oil rights in Chad and lucrative business deals in Uganda. Ho served a 3-year prison sentence and was deported to Hong Kong in June. Neither Biden's lawyer, the Joe Biden campaign, Gillier, Dong nor Ho's lawyers returned requests for comment, but Biden's lawyer has previously said, There is no need for comment on any so-called information provided by Rudy Giuliani. He has been pushing widely discredited conspiracy theories about the Biden family, openly relying on actors tied to Russian intelligence. His record of dishonesty in these matters speaks for itself, lawyer George Messiers added.
The Biden family is the most corrupt political family in American history. I can prove it. Joe Biden is terrified that you are about to hear the truth. I'm Donald Trump Jr. I'm the son of the President of the United States. I understand the pressure of being a prominent member of the First Family. Trust me, I've gone through it all. That's why I can say with absolute confidence that Joe Biden's son, Hunter, is one of the most unethical humans in political history. Let me say first that I'm not here to attack Hunter Biden on his personal issues. I don't want to talk about how Hunter Biden was discharged from the Navy Reserve for testing positive for cocaine. I won't do that. I will not bring up Hunter Biden fathering a child with a sex worker at the same time he was dating his late brother's wife and then refusing to pay child support until a court ordered him to. The corruption in Hunter Biden extends beyond ethical concerns. It's potentially criminal. Don't just take my word for it. The U.S. Senate recently released an in-depth investigation into the Biden family corruption. You may not have heard about it because our media is actively trying to cover it up. Here's what they found. Hunter Biden leveraged his father's political power to sell out the United States of America to our enemies and enrich himself and the Biden family. Hunter Biden used Air Force Two to travel to China with his father for business meetings with top communist Chinese officials. Hunter founded and sat on the board of a private equity firm that raised $1.5 billion from the Chinese government via the state-owned Bank of China. Hunter was involved with communist Chinese nationalists who gave the Bidens millions in exchange for access to American companies that produced technology with our military. In 2014, Vice President Joe Biden took the lead on policy in the Ukraine. At the same time, Hunter Biden joined the board of a Ukrainian energy company where he made $83,000 a month. Around the same time that a Ukrainian prosecutor began an investigation into the levels of corruption at Hunter Biden's company, Joe Biden was threatening to withhold U.S. aid to Ukraine if that very prosecutor was not immediately fired from his job. The prosecutor was fired. In a speech to the Council on Foreign Relations, Joe Biden actually bragged about how he got that prosecutor fired by effectively blackmailing the Ukrainian government with taxpayer money.
If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money.
But Ukraine and China are just the beginning of the Biden family corruption. My father and I were famously investigated for Russia collusion. We, of course, did not collude with Russia and were fully exonerated. But do you know who was bought and paid for by the Kremlin? Hunter Biden. In 2014, Hunter Biden received a $3.5 million wire transfer from Elena Butyera, the wife of the former mayor of Moscow, who also happened to be one of Vladimir Putin's closest associates. Horrifyingly, according to a report from the U.S. Senate, Hunter Biden paid off women from Russia and other Eastern European countries that are directly linked to prostitution and human trafficking rings. It's not just Hunter getting rich off of Joe Biden's connections. Joe Biden's brother, James Biden, launched a healthcare company, AmeriCorps, that was later raided by the FBI after he fraudulently transferred over $500,000 from the company into his own bank account. James Biden also joined Hillstone International to secure a contract to build 100,000 homes in Iraq. Minor details. He'd never built a home in his life before. Maybe this is why everyone in the Biden family seems to have gotten filthy rich off of Joe's public service. Joe and Jill Biden have an estimated net worth of over $9 million. Hunter Biden and Jim, do you know what the fees are on just an investment of $1.5 billion like the one they took from China? In a typical fund, there's a 2% fee structure and 20% of the profits. The 2% fee of $1.5 billion is $30 million a year from the Chinese government. Quite a bankroll for regular old Scranton Joe and his working class family. The dark and complex interlacings of corruption within the Biden family has now been exposed with this incriminating investigation by the United States Senate. Did the Bidens' financial entanglements impact U.S. foreign policy? Of course they did. But did they care? Of course not. That was the plan all along. The Bidens didn't care about putting American national security at risk with criminal conduct and threats of extortion. They cared about getting rich off their public office. Fortunately, Americans are waking up, and they're not going to give the corrupt Bidens public office. We need someone who will put the interests of the American people over the interests of themselves. And that person is my father, Donald J. Trump. Without a doubt, the Biden family is the most corrupt family in American history. Let's end their corruption once and for all in November.
Turning Point Action is responsible for the content of this advertisement.